Episode of Building a Sex Education Empire in an African Nation. We have Olawunmi Esan joining us, and we're going to be having a very great time learning our story, our journey, understanding how she started. She's building what I call this courageous empire, especially in an African nation, because sex and even sexuality is something that has been shied away from in a lot of years in the African nation and context. Until recently, I'm thinking less than 10 years ago, less than, and 10 years ago is even being generous, maybe 5 years, that we started having this conversation everywhere else, church and everywhere. Okay, she's here with us now. I'll be adding her, and everywhere else. Hey, let me read the profile.
Thank you so much, Counselor Olawunmi, for choosing to do this. Oh, okay. I think she'll be back now. She went off. Let's do that again. I sent a request as well. Okay, yes, I've invited her. Thank you for joining us. We're talking on building a sex education empire in an African nation. And we have therapist Olawunmi Esan. I sent her an invite, maybe it's the network. Olawunmi Esan, or you're going to be watching the replay. Olawunmi Esan is a trained psychotherapist and certified sex therapist who helps couples and individuals discover and enjoy sexual satisfaction and fulfillment. Our training includes a background in psychology, a certification in counseling and psychotherapy, and certifications in psychosexual therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. She's a member of the African Network of Professional Counselors and the lead therapist at Thriving Family International, an organization focused on providing counseling and therapy for personal and family life-related issues. She has worked with over 1,000 couples and individuals over the years to help them achieve the sex fulfillment life through one-on-one sex therapy and coaching, our online sex coaching course, and a sex academy, the University of Sex. You can learn more about our work on www.olawunmiesan.com. Thank you again for being here. All right, so therapist Olawunmi, for me, wanting to do this interview with you is wanting to learn a lot about your mind, because I think that you have a lot of courage and you are literally building an empire. That's how I call it, because that's what I believe, especially in the sex space where it has been hush-hush for a while in Africa. Like I was saying, I'm not even sure if it's up to 10 years ago. I don't think so, that people have started having sex seminars in churches. It's now a thing, but it wasn't a thing once upon a time. So I would like to start with, how did you choose to become a sex therapist? Was it a story? Was it something that happened? Was it something you have always known? And even though the world was not ready for it, you just started it.
Okay. So once again, thank you for having me. And to answer your question, I've always been interested in sex from a very young age. Not so much the mechanics of it, but I mean, what is it all about? The biology behind it, the understanding of it. So I've always been very curious about sex. What is this sex thing that a lot of people talk about? And I probably wouldn't say that I was sex educated basically as a child, but my mom and I had a relationship where we could talk about difficult stuff. Do you understand? And so I think that base, that foundation of being able to address uncomfortable issues, difficult conversations, helped me get very comfortable having difficult discussions. So at 15, I had my first boyfriend at 15. My mom was very open. I don't do that. Just bring him home. Let us see him. I was made to, even though we didn't have formal sex education or my mom having conversations with me specifically about sex, when it came to relationships, which is, I mean, kind of sex is an integral part of that. I had a very, very easy time with my mom there, and it just flowed very naturally. And again, like I said, I've always been interested in sex. I've always been a voracious reader when it comes to things like that. I always wanted to understand it. So, and for me, so a lot of people grow up with that mindset or mentality around, oh, sex is bad. It's this, don't talk about it, don't talk.
Yeah.
I did not grow up like that. So even though there was no sexuality education per se, I did not grow up fearing sex or thinking that sex was a bad thing. It just seemed very clean to me, very beautiful. I mean, it just had to be something good. Do you understand? And so as time went by, I then studied psychology. I studied psychology, and then I got my certifications in cognitive behavioral therapy, psychosexual therapy, and all of that. But I think that a very defining point for me was when I was pregnant, when I had my first child. I think that was a very defining point for me when I had my first child, and then she was a very big baby, and I was talking to family, friends, people to say, so at this point I'd already done I already had my background in psychology, I was already taking some sex courses and what have you, but I was doing it more as, okay, this is something I'm interested in, but not necessarily so much as a career. Do you understand? Even though my background in psychology already gave me that base, I've always been interested in people and human behavior, basically. And so when that happened for me, I basically at that point was really learning sex as something I wanted to learn. I wanted to know more about, not necessarily to practice at that point. And then I got pregnant, had my first child, and it was a big baby. And then I started asking family, friends, and everybody that, what do you do with your vagina after birthing this kind of big baby? And then everybody was so uncomfortable that I was talking about my vagina. They were like, don't talk about it. Well, don't worry, you'll be fine. You'll just be fine. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Everybody was really uncomfortable that I would very boldly come to you and say, what do you do when about your vagina at this point? And I basically then found what I needed. I found the solution that I needed. And it just dawned on me at that point that, you know what, you already have, I mean, you have the knowledge base, you have the background. A lot of people need this information. A lot of people need these things. As a matter of fact, then while I was studying sex, my aim was to sex educate the African child. So, like I said, I had a really easy relationship with my
Wow.
mom. Do you understand? So I thought that I was going to be sex educating the African child. So at that point, then when those things happened, and then I was talking to God to say, okay, what exactly do you want me to do? That was a very decisive point in my life because things were about to change. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe we would go the arm of, because I've always been, even as a teenager, I've always been, when I see young people getting pregnant and all of that, I used to say to myself, why are people not telling these people what to do? Why are people not talking to them, advising them before they make these mistakes? So I always thought that I would be sex educating the African child. Perhaps at some point I might still do it, but at that point, then I was then talking to God because I'm a Christian. I was talking to God and I was like, what exactly am I going to do with this? What direction do you want me to take it? And then, I mean, it was very clear. He said he wanted me to focus on helping people, mature people, married couples, and all of that to help them enjoy better sex. And
Mm.
that was where it started from. And then, we started doing more and more and more because I believe that even when God calls you, you have to be properly and professionally trained. You just can't say God called me, I just doing nonsense. You have to be professionally
Mm.
trained. And so I went further to get further certification to help to be able to help people professionally, and the rest they say is history. That's where we are today.
Thank you so much for starting out so brightly. I'm already excited at the story. So that takes me to my next question, which is you shared that you are a Christian, and sincerely speaking, therapist to me, to be a Christian and to be so bold, we want to know what you are eating and what you are drinking. And what do I mean? I mean, in the sense of the religious setting that people expect. So, I would like you to please tell us about how things were for you with your Christian brothers and sisters, or maybe church, but even friends who were well-meaning in quotes when you started out. Because your page is so educative, but it's also so daring. And I'll get to the question of that. So when people see that, did you have what I call maybe backlash or conversations like, Sister Wumi, you are taking it too far? Did you have that kind of conversation? Or let's pray for Sister Wumi, she's living the faith.
So there were those kind of, yeah, those kind of conversations, those kind of talks where that. But you see the thing, I tend to be somebody, I have what I like to call tunnel vision. So if I know that this is the direction that I'm going, I focus on it, and I just take out every other voice. I don't listen to voices. And because I know that what I'm doing is right, I'm helping people. And I mean, based on what we've done over the years, testimonies are, boundless. Do you understand? Because I know that what I'm doing is right, I know that I'm on the right path. I basically do not entertain what people say. So I just maintain my vision and my focus, and I keep working towards that. So people can say everything, and when people say it to me, I laugh, and it doesn't affect me because it just has no bearing for me. And I have to say this: my husband is a huge supporter of what I do, a very, very huge supporter of what I do. And there were times where people would talk to him and say things that, oh, your wife is doing this, your wife is doing that. Do you see the video she posted? Or, oh, now she's into toys as well, and stuff like that. And then my husband
Mm.
would protect me from all of that feedback. He did not want that negativity in my space. So they would tell him, he'll just smile and he'll say nothing. And he won't even say anything to me. So if he
Mm.
was going to say probably like a year down the line, do you understand? He would just say mention a person that, oh, that last year, imagine last year, that last year somebody said this, but I just wanted to tell you, it just didn't make sense, so I didn't tell you. Do you understand? So he also protected me from a lot of that.
Yeah.
And even I myself tend to have that tunnel vision. I'm focused on what I'm doing, and I'm really not hearing what other people are. I'm not paying attention to it, basically. I know that I'm not doing anything
Okay, thank you.
violate my religion or my faith. Do you understand? But so I'm very comfortable. I'm
Mm.
very comfortable doing what I do. I love what I do. I do it with confidence. I do it with ease, and I know that I'm doing the right thing. So I just don't bother about what people say.
Thank you so much for sharing. So, I would like you to please share with us about how exactly you started. Or did you start with maybe your Instagram page? Did you start with a mini meeting? Or how was that starting for the Olawunmi Esan brand, your sex toy organization? How was starting for you?
Okay, so social media was a huge part of how we started. But at the same time, I think once God told me that this is what I wanted you to do, and I started um, taking action. First of all, I started by asking people, okay, so a couple of friends of mine, I said, this is what I want to do. This is the direction that I'm going now. You know, what do you think I should do? How do you think we can put this out there? And so once the go ahead was given, it was like everything started to fall into place. I just started meeting people who just come out and say, "Oh, allow me, let me help you do this. Allow me, let me guide you. Allow me, let me do that." So yes, we started at a very, how do I put it? I don't know if the word is rudimentary, but it was not. We didn't start where we are today, basically.
So, okay, she's back now, but I have immediately switched. Oh, okay. I'm not sure. Let me add. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for staying with us. I think that was network. Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, I have sent an invite. Maybe I'll try it again. I've actually, I've actually accepted this request and I've sent a request. I don't know why it is not. Okay, she's back. Thank God. All right. Sorry about the network hiccup.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened.
And then
So like I said,
you were
okay, go
sharing.
ahead. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, like I said, prior to that time, I'd already started getting certifications, learning about sex professionally. It wasn't necessarily, this. And then at that point, then I started to fast track my certifications, acquire more knowledge in the field, and all of that. Started to meet very key people that have been influential to my journey today. So basically things just started to fall into place. We Then I would just always get help from a lot of people to say, oh, okay, let's do this, let's do that. Were there people that doubted? Of course there were. You understand that, oh, sex, are you sure? Really, whatever. You understand? But I knew what it was, and then I focused on that, and then we started going. And then we were not even big on what's it called, on Instagram. We started with Twitter. And I mean, I think then
Wow.
people were like, what? Who is this person come talk about sex? Who is this person talking about sex in this very bold, brazen way? And I guess it was a bit of a novelty, you understand? And then people then started to, okay, people started getting to know what we were about. People started getting to do this, do that. And then basically over the years, the brand has just been evolving. We expanded into our digital platform. We expanded into toys and all of that. And now today we have like our office where people can walk in for therapy sessions and all of that, or sex coaching or toys or whatever it is. So basically the brand has just been consistently evolving. And now, even
Yeah.
now, we are still evolving. We're continuously evolving.
Thank you for sharing. So, The average African woman thinks of sex in a religious way or in a religious manner. And when I mean religious manner, I mean the person is not comfortable talking about it, like you rightly shared when you wanted to ask people the questions after your first child. And they were just wondering, please don't talk about it. So the average African or Nigerian woman is a bit shy when it comes to sex. How have you been able to break through that? Because now I see a lot of, which I was going through your page before this interview. I see a lot of people commenting, shouting, screaming, saying, "Oh, when can I apply?" Which is something that may have been slow before they started. Even maybe they will come to your DM before commenting publicly. So, how do you think you were able to break through the minds of, well, these men and women, especially women, and then also win their confidence? Because like I was telling you when I saw you at ABI's anniversary, a lot of people know you, like you, and enjoy your content, married and unmarried.
Yeah, yes. And I think that honestly, we're still doing that work of helping people be more open and be more sexually enlightened. But over the years, I think what I can say we've done is some form of gradual desensitization and beyond disabusing people of that notion that sex is dirty and is bad. So every single time that we post, it was one more step in the direction of sexually enlightening people, one more step towards the goal, one more step towards helping people, one more step towards helping people achieve more comfort with sex. So every single thing that we've done, putting out information out there, and I think that, like you said, a lot of people tend to see sex as dirty and what have you, crude, as the case may be. But you see, the way that we have come out is quite different. So we don't present sex as crude, as
Mm.
dirty from that angle. So we're not necessarily throwing nudes in your face or stuff that, do you understand what I mean? So we're not
Yeah.
we didn't we're not employing the crude approach. We're coming from a very professional approach, and of course a very clean approach, because at the essence of what I do, I as a person believe that sex is clean. I believe that sex is so pure, it is so clean. I don't see it as dirty, so I would never present it as dirty. Do you understand? So, and
Yeah.
again, I think because of how we present, a lot of people, there's a lot of affinity for the brand. There's a lot of, what's that word? Goodwill as well.
Good thing.
Do you
It's good.
understand? Because at the end of the day, sex is not, it's not bad. It's not dirty. It is so pure. It is so beautiful. It's like one of the most, I probably would say one of the purest forms of human expression that you can see. And I really believe that. And so that's what I continually put out there, so people understand that you know what, you don't have to be a certain way. So people sometimes look at me and say, "Oh, you don't even really look like someone who does sex." And I'm very happy about that, because I need you to understand I don't have to look a certain way to do sex, to
Mhm.
teach sex. Do you understand? I don't have to look a certain way. I don't have to look whatever it is. Do you understand? I want people to understand that, look, you can be the girl next to enjoy sex. You don't have to be a certain way. You look like a porn star or present as a porn star. You can look like the girl next door. You can be normal. You can be yourself and enjoy sex, whatever that looks like for you. So, key for us is helping people enjoy comfort with their sexuality. Do you understand? And being
Yeah.
okay with that. I'm a sexual human being. My sexuality is an integral part of who I am. I'm comfortable with that. So key for us is helping people feel that, get to that point of comfort. And we're doing the work. Thank God for that. And people, more and more people are becoming more comfortable, are talking. But I think that we're still doing the work anyway. I mean, the work continues basically.
You shared about how sex is clean, and I know you shared a bit about your growing up, but could you please take us deeper to at what point you orientated, and if I could use the word, brainwashed yourself to believe that sex is clean? Because it has to be a brainwashing because of how sex had been spoken about, even in church settings, which maybe the average religious person grew up, and all you're told is sex is bad. So how did you brainwash yourself and reorientate yourself to that point where it's now a personal belief, and of course it is transiting into your brand and what you do?
Okay, so right from time, for me, I've never really taken any of those messages that sex is bad. So I did not take, I just rejected them right away. Is sex bad? No. Can sex be abused? Absolutely. Sex in itself is
Yeah.
not bad. Then what we do with it is what can make it good or bad. Do you understand? Is what we do with it. We can either use it properly or abuse it. Do you understand?
We are live again. We are live again. Thank you. We're going to continue this conversation. You're watching this on YouTube, network hiccup, and now this is the continuation. Okay. So, therapist Olawunmi will be joining us. This is one conversation. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Okay, she's here. Let me add that to the live so we continue.
Okay.
Thank you so much, therapist, for me. Network.
Thank you.
You were answering the
Yes,
question about how I asked the question about how you were able to orientate yourself about sex being clean. That's what you're
yes.
answering.
Okay. So I
But thank you for joining in. Welcome. This is just one of these network frustration days, but we'll get through. Okay, I just invited therapist Wumi again. Okay, therapist Wumi is also having bad network at the side. Yes, she's also having a bit of network, but we'll see how we can go through with it. I've had to also change my network as well.
Wow, I don't know what's going on today.
Exactly, today especially. But we'll make it work. Thank you again
Just
for coming back and for trying different networks as well.
yes, I tried like 3 different ones. I don't know what's going on today.
Yes. All right. Do you have the same question about how you got orientated that sex is clean? Anytime
Yeah.
you start
So
answering it.
okay, yeah. So I was saying that I never accepted that sex is dirty, sex is bad mentality. So in the midst of my friends, I would be the one that will very comfortably talk about sex. And people be like, ooh, you're spoiled and all of that. But for me, it was just normal. Like, it was like having a conversation about, I'm going to the market, I'll see you later. Or I'm going out, it was just as easy as that. Because again, I never accepted those messages about sex being dirty. I never saw it like that. Because again, sex itself is clean. What we do with sex, whether we use it properly or we abuse it, is what determines how we feel about it as well. Do you understand? So if you look
Yes.
at like what I was trying to say earlier, if you look at the case of sexual abuse or sexual violence, sex itself is good, but the way people have used it in that case is
Mm,
abuse. They have abused it. Do you understand? So someone perhaps could have that experience and just switch off sex. Sex itself is not the problem. It's the people that are the problem, because this same sex you can have in a healthy, functional relationship and enjoy it. Sex
mm.
is it is beautiful. It's what we do with it that determines whether it then becomes negative or positive, basically. So again, I never just accepted that. Like, I've never just, people say that. I just say, take your opinion and just take it back because this is not true. This is not real. That's a lie. Sex itself is beautiful. It's clean. It's amazing.
That's actually quite unique. I was thinking maybe you give us some list of books or something like that, but I think it was your own just determination to not just follow the bandwagon and whatever it is they were saying. So, therapist Wubi, did you have any sort of maybe mentor or model when coming into this business? I know that you have a lot of support, just like you shared, and even therapists, you're in an association and different certificate that you've taken, but did you see any example to say, I like what this man or woman is doing in the sex space, and okay, maybe something I would like to learn from? Did you have any of that?
Um, not quite really. There's this woman that I really respect, Mrs. Fumia Kingbade. She used to write for Punch. When I was much younger, I used to read her articles in Punch about sex. But that was the only person that I knew that talked about sex ever. That was the only person that I knew. So she probably wasn't like a mentor, but I think that she's still she paved the way for a lot of us, I guess. I would say that still,
Mhm.
even though she was not like a mentor, do you understand? But still, I believe that she paved the way for a lot of us. But in my own experience trying to do this, it was basically trying to create a blueprint. It was
Mm.
like trying to create a blueprint of our own and to follow that basically. And again, like I said, this was something that at that point, at that deciding and defining moment, God said, "This is what I want you to do." And so a lot of times I would go back and I say, "Okay, well, this thing, what's going on here? Are you sure I'm not just going to go and get a job?" And you understand? Because interestingly, I was working. I had my career. Yes, I was working. I had my career.
I was going to ask
I
that
was
question, that what did you
I
used
was
to do?
advancing. Yes, I was working. I had my career. I was advancing well. When I left my job to say, you know what, this is it. This is what God has said I should do, and this is what I'm focusing on. A lot of people were like, "What? Are you kidding me? You have a great job. You have a great job. Your job pays you well. You have your driver. You have all of this." So it didn't make sense, to leave there and then come and start working in uncharted territory, so to speak. Do you understand? It just didn't make sense. But this is something I've always been interested in, sex, basically. But the direction was where God said, okay, this is the direction I want you to take. And then we said, okay, you know what? And honestly, it didn't happen immediately. Do you understand? And by that time, by the time it happened and all of that, we kicked off, we moved off, and then we started doing what we needed to do. So it was basically like building our own blueprints, building a blueprint. And as you go along, we're building a blueprint. There's some things that God had shown me from the beginning to say, you know what, this is where I'm taking it to. And then I was like, how am I going to do this? And then he's like, you know what, just do what you are doing.
Wow.
And today when I think back, when God reminds me of the vision that he had, I'm not as scared today as I was then. Do you understand? Then it was just like so huge, so big. But when God reminds me today, I'm not as scared as I was then, because we've continually been evolving and we will still keep evolving. And I just know that there is always a path. Do you understand? Well, I mean, but basically, it's basically been trying to chart territory. You know, when you're clearing the bush, okay, where are we going now? We're clearing. Do you understand? Yeah.
Yes. Ooh, I like that analogy.
It's been absolutely worth it. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely worth it.
I think for me, one of the interesting part of this interview that I'm learning about is your relationship with God, which many people don't expect. So they won't, it's not like they've waited to ask you, but they don't expect, because she's teaching sex or so whatever. I don't think she'll be. So there will be that assumption. But you just sharing that it was from his place, for me, it's just really refreshing. Okay, so play toys is something you also, that's why I say bold, courageous, is something you also delved into boldly and started to democratize basically sex toys in the past. It was not, in fact, you can't hear about it. It will be counseling session, like it was just a whole lot. But now you have a sex store space company where you sell some of these things, a lot of interesting stuff on your page that I was looking through. How did you get to that part boldly? Because it's one thing to say, okay, I want to sex educate you. It's another thing to say, I'm going to bring what now, BJ, strawberry flavor, and all of those other things you sell there. So how did that start? That sex play store, I believe that's the name, if I get it
Yes,
correctly.
that's the
Okay.
name. So,
Yes.
so and I'm going to be very, very plain here, and I'm going to be very honest. When we started sex therapy and all of that, when we started, people were still in that mind space of, why would I pay you when I can see my pastor? Do you get? People were still in that mind space. It's not like today that people are like, okay, I think I need a sex therapist. Okay, I
Yeah,
can
they
come.
just jump to your
Then
pay exactly.
we're in that space of people thinking, why should I pay you when I can go and talk to my pastor? So then, pastor was your pastor, spiritual father, sexual advisor, financial advisor, relationship, everything. Do you understand?
Everything, yes.
And so we did not back down. We kept, you know, putting our voice out there, putting our content out there, creating that space. We kept doing it. At the same time, I was having a chat with what's it called? Yes, with my friend. His name is
Okay.
John Obidi. You might know him because he's quite popular, very, very
Okay.
popular. So, and so he was like, okay, is there a product side? So he was just talking to me and he was like, oh, is there a product side to this? I mean, are people
Mm.
really responding to the service aspect, or is there a product side to this? And then I'm like, oh yeah, but the concern I have with the products is when it comes to, so as a psychotherapist, you're not licensed to prescribe medication or herbs to anybody. And at that time, a lot of people were coming out with herbs, kaya matter, and all of that. And then, okay,
Yes.
he goes, is there a product side to that? I'm like, oh, yes, there is. But I cannot go into that kind of product because as a psychotherapist, I'm not licensed to prescribe such to anybody. Do you understand? We're not licensed to, as a psychotherapist, you can't even prescribe Panadol. I'm sure you know, you can't prescribe Panadol or anything. Do you understand? So I'm
Yes.
like, I can't do that. And then we thought about it and I'm like, okay, I think I would like to go into the product line of toys because I'm comfortable with them. Before then, I used toys on my own. Like I would buy and use and all of that. Very exploratory. So I do that. So I'm like, I think I'm more comfortable with this space, and I'd like to try it. And then I was like, oh, fantastic. And then I started to research. Okay, what kind of toys, blah 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 blah. And so we started with things that, first of all, I was like, okay, let's dip our toe in the water first. Okay, then, when I mentioned about having a big baby, one of the things that really helped me was Kegel balls. So for Kegel exercises, but they are weighted balls. And I mean, after having a baby, 5.2 kg baby, and she was brought out vaginally, very big, Kegel balls really helped me to the point that even by the time I started using them, I was like, this thing is even much nicer, much more, interesting than even before you got pregnant. So it got better.
Wow.
So that was something that I could beat my chest that, oh, no. A lot of women need this. Do you understand? So we started from there. Okay, this thing, I can vouch for it. Again, because integrity is very important to me. It's one of my core values. I would not just sell something that I think, oh, let's just sell it because of money. If I'm going to sell something, I have to believe in it. Do you understand? And so we started from there. It was something that I could beat my chest for because I had used it, I had gotten results, and I said, okay, let's start from there. And gradually we expanded into lubricants, vibrators, and all of that. And honestly, yes, did we get some pushback from people reporting me to my pastor? I was selling sex toys and all of that. But I knew what I was doing. And I refused to be bullied. You understand? I refused to be cowered into submission. It was fine with me. It was fine with my husband. We're good to go. We're good. And so that's basically how it started.
Wow. And it seems like more people are embracing it because you see people asking, oh, how much, or maybe even sending DMs as well. So, okay, that has come to say, you have a game. Is that your original creation? I said I should ask. The card game. I'm not sure if I wrote it down.
No.
Okay.
It's one of the products we sell.
Yourself. Okay. All right. So you are so knowledgeable about your field. That one is something that a person can see once they come to your page. In fact, so much content, very great content that you'll not be wondering, what am I going to get in the University of Sex? How do you improve yourself to continue to give us fresh information? Because that's how I see your sex page. It has fresh information. Even if you are maybe regramming or reposting something, you're going to say it in a new way. So what is your inspiration and what drives you? How do you keep yourself going? That, of course, in turn produces some of these things we see on the page. That is even aside your university.
Okay. So I'm a lifelong learner. I tend to be very academic in nature. A lot of people who follow me on Instagram might not know that, but I'm very academic in nature. I love to read, I love to study, I love to learn, and things like that. So for me, it is so I don't think there's ever a point you get to, regardless of the career that you are or the field that you are. I don't think there's ever a point you get to where you just sit back and say, yes, I've arrived, oh, I'm good. There's always knowledge, there's always more to learn. There's always more to learn. And I'm a very driven person. I'm ambitious and I'm driven. Do you understand? And so there's always more to learn. I love knowledge. I love learning. So I'm continually, if I'm not taking certifications, I am reading on my own. So I just love to learn. For me, at the heart of everything is that we do, client satisfaction is very important to me. I want people to come in, have their sessions, and feel better, know better, do better. Do you understand? I want them to come in and feel like they've been attended to properly. They are on their way to getting solutions to their problems or their concerns. So I don't just stop where I am. I'm continually evolving. Again, as you know, ANEPCO, the association that a lot of us that I think you also belong to, One of the criteria that we also have is we have to log in continuous professional development. It's very important. Do you understand? But even outside our NEPCO, continuous professional development is very important to me because I want my clients to get the best of services they can. I want to learn. Like I see myself doing this in my 80s, in my 90s. You know, the vision that I have, I see myself do, as you grow older and all of that, you start to have, you're having clients, and then you have, you are old, and then you're helping older people even enjoy better sex. You're consulting, I see myself doing this. Like, this is not like a career, this is my life. I see myself doing this for as long as I live, like consulting, helping people, all of that, basically. So for me, it's a lifelong journey, and we never stop learning.
Wow, thank you so much. I remember you also sharing with me at the 8th anniversary about the importance of the founder or the visionary growing, and that will in turn transcend into the brands. Thank you for sharing. So what surprises, that's one, and what challenges have you encountered in this journey? And before that, please, could you share with us how many years you have been a sex therapist?
Okay, so we've been doing this for about 8 years now. We've been doing this like professionally. Yes, we've been doing it professionally for about 8 years now. Yeah. So
I'm curious to know what surprises.
Discounting all the academia and all of that. Okay, so what surprises? Interestingly, nothing quite surprises me. At the beginning, I wasn't surprised that a lot of people embrace sex because sex is what it is. Do you understand? So I wasn't surprised. But I think that one of the things that made me feel not so good was the fact that people wanted these things. They wanted value, but they were not ready to pay for value. Do you understand? Then so they would rather say, oh, let me go to my pastor. Do you understand? They would rather say, oh, let me go to my pastor, as opposed to paying you to get proper value. Do you understand? And then I think I would say to myself, oh my God, I'm doing all of this work, I'm putting all of these efforts, and then people are still saying, let me go to my pastor. So it used to stink. But I also understood that it was the evolution of the industry. I understood that. I really understood that. So that's one of the things that was, how do I put it? Was it maybe? But in terms of right now, nothing really surprises me anymore. Yes, nothing surprises me anymore. Like I'm just thinking to myself in my head, what can surprise me right now? I mean, nothing really surprises me anymore. We just do what we have to do. We're working on continuous improvement, evolving, helping people, reaching more people, helping people to be more sexually enlightened, and all of that. So yes, that's where we are now.
Okay, so are there challenges, or what challenges have you encountered in building the business professionally in the past 8 years, or does it tie into what you just shared?
Yeah, what I just said basically. So at the beginning, a lot of people would rather meet their pastors. That was like the basic, the biggest challenge that we had. Basically, that was the biggest challenge that we had. Like I said before, when people would talk and say all of those things, for me, it was just water off a duck's back because I wasn't paying attention to them. I was focused on what I wanted to do. So had I paid attention to them, yes, those would have been challenges for me. So I probably would have been going back and forth. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I do this? Do you understand? But I did not pay attention to them. For me, it was just water off a duck's back, and I just focused on what I had to do.
I must say that I like your collaborative spirit. I have seen at least more than once you have shared other sex therapists. Maybe they brought down their pages or something else. Maybe they are selling something. You share it on your page. What what motivates you to do that? I'm asking because some people, let me not say many people, in the same industry especially with you have like a strong followership, they may find it hard to want to collaborate with other people in the same industry, not people outside, to want to collaborate, want to share other brand apart from theirs. But yeah, you just share when you can. Well, I'm not saying you shared all of the brand, but like when you can, you share to help other sex therapists. Why do you do that?
I I feel it's. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. So for me, I see. So you know when the part in the Bible where they were talking about the harvest and the workers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
I see this industry as the field. Yeah, and every other person that does this, I mean, the same thing that I do, or that is a sex therapist, sexuality educator, I see all of us as workers, really. Because the truth is, I can't reach everybody. If somebody else is doing it and doing it the right way, why shouldn't we help each other? We're trying to read. What are we trying to do at the end of the day? To help people enjoy better sex, to be sexually enlightened, to find more comfort with sex and all of that. So for me, all of us are workers in the vineyard, basically. And if there's any way that I can support, please, sure, once you let me know. So I might not know. So the interesting thing is, as much as we are active on Instagram, I have a team. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm advanced. I know what we do, our content and all of that. I know all of that. But once we've done all of that, I might just go out. I don't like to stay on social media a lot. Again, because I have a day job, I have a business to run, I have
Wrong.
sessions, I have clients and all of that. So I'm not really staying here. So I might not necessarily know when somebody needs the help, but if the person brings it to my attention, oh, most definitely, I'm happy to help. I just probably might not be going around and looking for all of that. But if you bring it to my attention, oh, fantastic, I'm happy to help. Because again, like I said, all of us are workers in the vineyard. So why shouldn't I help? It's just a no-brainer, really.
Wow, we are rounding up now. We're actually starting to round up, and I really enjoyed this conversation. So, the question I want to ask is, what advice would you give to anybody watching you or is going to watch this replay who wants to step into this industry, whether young or old? What maybe five or three advice would you give to the person to be able to start out strong?
Okay, so what I would say, and I'm just going to say this one because this is the one I would always happen every time.
Okay.
We are dealing with people's lives. If you decide to go into this industry, please remember that you're dealing with human beings and you're dealing with people's lives. You're dealing with a very sensitive aspect of human life. You need to be properly equipped and trained to do that. Do
Mm,
not adulterate the industry. Do you understand? See,
mm,
you can start out in a certain, you can start out. So I have a problem when people who are not trained do this
okay.
work. I have a problem with it. Do you understand? Because we're dealing with people's lives. People need help. And you just come out and then you even put information that is not correct. And people are reading these things and they think it's supposed to be right, but it's not. So I have an issue with that, and I think it's not right at all. So if you want to go into this field, please get trained. Get trained, get some basic training, whether it's the sex therapy track, whether it's the coaching track, whether it's sexuality educator track, whatever track you want to go, please get trained. Yeah.
Mm,
And understand that what we do is ethical. Get
mhm.
trained to help people the right way. Don't just jump out there and say, okay, because I know how to do snake in the monkey shadow, or because I love sex, I'm just going to start talking about sex. No, if you want to present as somebody who helps, as in this helping profession, please get trained so that you don't damage people's lives, so that you don't destroy their lives, so that you don't give wrong information that can lead people astray. So please, that is what we need trained to help people the right way. That's what I think.
Thank you so much. We have less than five more questions before your rapid fire question. I want to get your thoughts
5
on, I think
more.
sometimes they are no less than, we have less than before your rapid fire question. I want to get your thoughts on the Kayamata. I don't know if I have any specific question in that line, but Kayamata and pornography. So this is something that people have dragged, people are followers of, people are, yeah, people are quite here and there, and some genuinely don't know whether it's right, whether it's wrong. They just hear about it, they see testimonials splashed on the person's page, and then they go for to follow, especially Kayamata. So what are your general thoughts on that? And a couple who thinks they want to learn or be educated with pornography, do you think that is right, wrong, or it depends on their motive? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so let's start with Kayamata. For me, I'm a big believer in the efficacy of herbs. Yeah, I think that God put these things there to help us. Yeah. However, the concern that I have is a lot of people who sell these herbal mixtures and solutions just mix a whole lot of things together. We don't even know what's in it. Yeah, we don't really know what's in it. Just mix a whole lot of things together. And somebody comes to you and say, I have a problem. And the next thing, maybe for instance, a woman says, I don't get wet. And next thing you say, oh, take this syrup, take this drink, take this whatever, take this, take that. And I really have a problem with it because in the first place, that concern would have an entirely different origin. Because if we look at it, it could be physiological. There could be physiological reasons for the person not getting wet. There could be psychological reasons for the person not getting wet. There could be lifestyle related reasons for the person not getting wet. And what you are recommending right away is for the person to just drink something. I think that's a problem. And I don't think it's okay. Do you understand? I think that perhaps there should be
Yeah.
a consultation first to ensure that to ensure that what they're selling can really help the person. Secondly, some people have underlying health issues. We don't know the components of a lot of these things. You have underlying health issues, you don't even ask them, they don't even know, and you just sell stuff to them. Do you understand? And that is fatal. If the person has allergies or reacts to some certain component of what you're selling to them, that could be fatal. Do you understand? So those are the issues I have. I have no issues with herbs, even though as a psychotherapist, I cannot prescribe herbs or anything. I have no issues with herbs because I think that these things there to help us and all of that, but I just have an issue with the way it is presented.
Okay. All right. So the second question on pornography, what are your general thoughts on that?
Okay, so I think again, I would say this. Um, Pornography should not be the standard because pornography really does not portray what sex in a relationship or in a marriage look like. Pornography is there to excite you and to get you to aspire to something. Do you understand? So it's there to excite you. It is that factor, the excitement factor, the shock factor that gets it selling, and that's the truth. But a lot of things that you see in pornography are, so for instance, when it comes to maybe a man and a woman having sex in porn, you are seeing a lot of moving, thrusting, boom, 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 heavy thrusting and all of that. And then the woman is moaning and, oh yes, oh baby, all of that, yeah? And you then think that, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be done. You're educating yourself in that light. And then you go home and then you go to your wife and then you're like, boom, boom, boom. And then the woman is feeling pain. And then she's not moaning and she's like, stop it. And you're thinking to yourself, something must be wrong with my wife. She's not as sexual as those other people. Or even you, the woman, you have seen how men in porn have very big penises, how they are doing it, how the woman is moaning, and then you're thinking, oh, your husband is not doing it as they're doing because you are not moaning and all of that. All of those things are. I mean, it's paparazzi for you to watch and be excited about. That's the entire point of it. Do you understand? It doesn't reflect what sex looks like in real relationships or real marriages. As a matter of fact, because of the work that I do, sometimes I watch these things for research purposes. I watch, and there was one documentary I watched about a pornography, about a guy who does porn. So I watched his documentary, and in one of the scenes, they took the cut where they were having hot sex, blah blah blah, and all of that. And then the lady had to tell them to cut. Do you understand? And then behind the scene, the lady was crying. that this was really painful, that the guy was really hurting her and all of that. And then the producer just wipes her face. Oh, sorry, baby, sorry, baby, sorry, baby. He now puts her back on camera and is like, oh, give me that look, give me that. I mean, she's going through a lot of pain. So we don't see what really goes on behind the scenes. We're just seeing what is on camera. And that's not a true reflection of what it should be, honestly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that insight. Now, this is the final question before your rapid fire question, which is, how did University of Sex come about? Was it part of the vision from the start, or was there a gap you saw that University of Sex stepped in to solve?
Okay, it was a gap. It was not something that we knew we were going to do right from the start. It was a gap that we saw. It was a gap that we saw. So how do we help people enjoy better sex? So in the course of doing the work, a lot of people will ask about, oh, how can I learn how to do this? How can I don't know how to write. I don't know how to do blowjobs. I don't know how to do this. I don't. So people would a lot of them. People were thinking, okay, how do we reach a good number of people at the same time? Because not everybody can afford to come to you one on one and have you teach them. Do you understand? So how can we create something that people can access from the comfort of their home, comfort of their phones, without, and it's not as expensive as personal sessions and all of that. So how can we do that? And that's why we came up with the concept of, creating digital resources that people can watch from the comfort of their homes to learn. To learn.
Okay, so is University of Sex a space where a new couple who are clueless about sex can learn sex styles and everything in between, rather than say going to porn to learn? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So new couple, older couple, experienced couples, anybody can basically just go there and learn, choose from the resources that we have based on their learning needs.
Okay, fantastic. And I just have to comment that thank you for doing that, because that is something that a lot of there was space there, because many people were doing hush hush about sex, but they didn't know how to step into. So what am I going to learn? What am I going to do? Especially virgin brides. And you just creating that platform when you are going to teach, especially from sex being clean is really awesome. And I trust that many people, well, me, I personally would tell many other people about it. All right, so your rapid fire question, just a few questions I need to answer in 30 seconds for us to get to know more about you. Yes, so what is your favorite color?
Red.
Wow, okay. What is your favorite food?
Rice and
Okay. What are you allergic to? Is there anything you're allergic to?
People that lie.
Oh. I was not expecting the answer, but okay. That is also an answer. Oh, what is your best movie?
Wow. I don't think I have one. I love a lot of movies. I don't think I have one.
Okay. What about best book?
Book. There's so many. I don't think I have one. There's so many.
Were you born in Nigeria? Were you given birth to in Nigeria?
Yes, I was.
Yes. Okay. So if you weren't given birth to in Nigeria, where would you have liked to be born into? What country would you have liked to be born into?
Oh my God. Oh, I'm a Canadian citizen in my head.
Mommy, please don't move. Don't move, please. Hey, please, therapist. That answer reveals a lot. Okay, so gold or silver? Gold or silver?
Gold.
Good, okay. Black or white?
White.
Okay, yellow or pink? Okay, what is one favorite thing about your husband?
About my husband?
Yes, one favorite thing.
He's my biggest supporter.
All right. What is your favorite thing to do?
I like to spend time with my husband. I like disturbing him. I like playing with him.
Okay, what do you like to do for fun?
Watch movies, go to hotels, go to spas. Yeah.
Okay, all right, small chops or jollof rice?
Jollof rice, jollof rice.
Fruits or vegetables?
Fruits.
Okay, would you rather take the train or a ship? Train or ship?
Ship.
Okay, bus or an airplane?
Especially if it's new. Especially if it's new. So the novelty of the experience. That's why I said
Okay,
ship. But airplane,
ship. Okay,
definitely airplane.
airplane. Writing or speaking? Because you do both well. So which one, writing or speaking?
Ah, that's tough. I think I'll take
Yes,
speaking.
I know.
I'll say speaking.
Speaking. Okay. Rain or sunshine?
Rain.
Training or one-on-one counseling?
Sorry?
That's for the clients. Training. Do you prefer to train the 10, 20, 100 people or
Yeah.
one-on-one counseling with your clients? Which one do you prefer if you were to pick?
I like both, but I think I like both, but I like both. I like the energy from the training, but I also love the intimacy of one on one as well. So I think I'll do both. I like both of them.
Okay. Audio or visual? How do you learn the most? Audio or visual?
Visual, visual, visual.
Okay, a day at the beach or a day in one of your favorite restaurants? Would you
Restaurants.
rather spend you know one thing, you know, like was there was beach. Okay. If you had a magic wand, what is one change? And if you could change just one thing in Nigeria, what would that one thing be?
If I could change one thing in Nigeria, basic
Yes, just
healthcare
one.
for everybody. Healthcare for
Hmm.
everybody and healthcare and education. So that's two things. I'm very passionate about
Hmm.
education. So yeah, healthcare and education.
Okay. All right. And then what would you like to be remembered for?
My impact in this field of sex, sexually enlightening people, helping people achieve more comfort and pleasure with sex, helping people see sex as clean, as good, and as beautiful. That's it.
Could you, as you sign up, please, could you share with us what the bigger vision is, say in 10 years, 15 years time for Olawunmi Esan's brand, Sex Play Tour, University of Sex, if you
So
will?
I think that everybody should just stay tuned and we'll all find out.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Therapist, for me for doing this. I really did enjoy myself despite the network hiccups. Thank
Yes,
you. And
definitely.
thank you for all you do. It's because of how inspiring you are that I decided to do say, we have to know how your mind works. And we've gotten a good glimpse of it. Not all of it, but a good glimpse of it in today's interview.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
And
And
thank you
thank you for your
to everybody
patience
that
because I
joined us.
couldn't attend the other time, but thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day. Thank you.